Hello, so let us now answer the 20-item activity. So we have here 7x plus 4 times 7x minus 4. So if we could notice, same sila, na both expressions na ay 7x, and both expressions po na ay 4. The only difference is their signs, plus and minus. If nga na, we could apply the special product. A plus b times a minus b is simply a squared minus b squared. So meaning, we will get the square of 7x minus the square of 4. So, always make sure nga kanang ma-distribute ninyo ang power niya. Okay? So, 7 squared, that is 49. Then, the square of x is x squared. Minus, the square of 4 is 16. Nada lang na siya. Hinumdumi lang na siya ang pattern. So, if the expression looks like this, so just get the square of both terms. Next one. So, we could notice that the expression inside the parenthesis is a binomial. There are two terms, right? Si 4y o si negative 9. So, if we will just get the square of the first term. Then, for the last term, ito pong square. So, if nakahibaw na mo sa signs, pwede na dito. But if wala, you may include the sign sa second term. So, plus the square of the second term. Then, plus 2 times the first term times the second term. Yala lang na siya. So, square of 4y. So, again, always remember to distribute the exponent, no? So, that's 16y squared. Then, 2 times 4y is 8y times negative 9. That's negative 72y. Then, negative 9 squared is positive 81. So, this is now the answer. Okay. If ganahan ka nga, kanang dili na nimo isuwat imong solution, so, pwede na po ka mag-ditso-ditso. So, for example, square that's 16y squared. Then, for the middle term, you multiply both the terms and times 2. That's negative 72y. And for the last term, you get the square, so plus 81. No? So, pwede na po ma-mental ng computation. Next one. So, number 3 has the same pattern with number 1. So, kabantay mo. Same sila na 8a squared. Same po sila nga 3b squared. And again, they differ only on their kanang operation. So, if ingani, we will just get the square of both values. So, square ni 8a squared minus square ni 3b squared. Yan na lang na siya. So, again, always remember, no? Ay, hala, nawa ang square niya. Always remember nga, tanang mga, both the numerical and the literal coefficients should be raised by the power of 2. Okay? So, 8 squared, that is 64. Then, a squared squared is a raised to the power of 4. By the law of exponent, we simply multiply the exponents. Minus 3 squared, that is 9. And b squared squared is b raised to the power of 4. So, this is now our answer. Number 3. So, number 4, it has the same pattern with number 2. So, pwede na ito magditso. So, get the square of the first term. So, that's 5m squared raised to the power of 2. Then, plus 2 times, kani, si 5m squared, times kani po, si second term, 6n cubed, plus square na po ni 6n cubed. So, this is the pattern. Okay? So, let's simplify. 5 squared is 25. M squared squared is m raised to 4. Plus 2m times 2 times 5m squared is 10m squared. Times 6n cubed. That is 60m squared n cubed. Then 6 squared is 36. N cubed squared is n raised to the power of 6. Again, with the power of power, just multiply the exponent. So this is now our final answer. And again, pwede na po itong ganina nga dito na ka. No? If you're more comfortable with mental calculation, then go for it. Okay? So always follow the pattern. So again, you square the first term. Then for the middle term, you multiply, then times 2. Then for the last term, you get the square. Okay? That's the pattern. Next. Next one, number 5. So it has the same pattern gihapon. So just follow the same thing. Get the square of the first term. So that's 6x cubed squared. Then for the middle term, just multiply, then times 2. Okay? So, 2 times 6x cubed times negative 5y plus the square of the last term. So, that's negative 5y raised to 2. Now, let's simplify further. 6 squared is 36. X cubed squared is x raised to 6. Again, you multiply the exponents. Then, 2 times 6x cubed, that's 12. X cubed times negative 5y, that's negative 60. X cubed y. Then negative 5 squared is positive 25. And y squared is just simply y squared. If ever that you don't want to use the pattern, you could expand this anyway. Gani. Other way of solving is just using the FOIL method or the distributive property. So this one right here could be expanded as 6x cubed minus 5y times 6x cubed minus 5y. So you may use the FOIL method, the box method, or using the distributive property, no? Kung asay mas kudyon ninyo. So let's try to use the box method kita hay. So let's just do it here. 6x cubed minus 5y, then 6x cubed then negative 5y. So for the box method, we will just be writing the expressions horizontally and vertically. So 6x cubed times 6x cubed, that's 36 x raised to the power of 6. Then 6x cubed times negative 5y, that's negative 30 x cubed y. Then let's go to the second row. Negative 5y times 6x cubed, that's negative 30 x cubed y. And negative 5y times negative 5y is positive 25y squared. Then we will combine like terms. So we have these two like terms right here. So negative 30x cubed y plus negative 30x cubed y is simply negative 60x cubed y. Thus the final answer here is kani 36x raised to 6. Then simplifying these two common are like terms, we've got negative 60x cubed y. Then the last term, positive 25y squared. So same or good gihapon siya result. So it's up to you which method is more convenient for you. So the first method here, we are using the special product. So we are just using a pattern. Then the second one right here, we are using the box method. Okay, still utilizing the distributive property. So it's up to you. Now number 6, so balik-balik naman tali ang pattern ani no. So same gihapon sila o values, diba? Nag-differ lang sila sa sa ilang operation. So ato ang buhaton, we just get the square of each value. So square of this, so square of 3a squared b squared minus the square of 7. So distribute. So 3 squared is 9, a squared squared is a raised to 4, b squared squared is b raised to 4. Again, if it's power of a power, multiply the exponent. Then minus 7 squared is 49. So this is now our answer. Next one, in number 7, so we have 3 sets of factors here. So we will just multiply them. So multiply 5x squared to 3x minus 4. Then kung unsa iyang product, i-multiply na po nimo siya diri. So dili siya pwede nga madungan tanan ha. So hinahinay lang. So the first value times the second one. Then kung unsay answer, i-multiply na po sa third. Okay? But if you could notice, if ma-notice ninyo, these two expressions, we could apply the special product, diba? It's the same with number 6 and the previous kanang items nga. Same sila nga 3x, same nga 3x, same nga 4, same nga 4, right? So we could apply the special products here. So we could get, we get the square of 3x minus the square of 4, diba? So we could apply the special product, thus our solving will be easier and quicker. So 3 squared is 9, then square of x is x squared minus 16. So we're done simplifying these two factors. Yan na pamantay 5x squared. So please do not forget 5x squared. So we are not yet done. Our last step here is to distribute 5x squared to our expression inside the parenthesis. So 5x squared times 9x squared. Ato na lang siyang i-swat. Then 5x squared times negative 16. Yan na lang na siya. So simplifying 5x squared times 9x squared, that's 45. X raised to 4, then 5x squared times negative 16, that's negative 80x squared. That's it. Okay? So, when you are asked to multiply more than 2 factors, so, pwede nga, kamo yung bahalag discard, basta ka ma-multiply silang tanan. So, dili necessary ha nga, si 5x squared yung una, then si second factor, it's not necessary. Okay? By commutative property, we could multiply them in different orders. Okay? What if, wala ninyo giuna ni siya o multiply? Si 5x squared, una yung gi-multiply ni 3x minus 4. So, it will have the same answer. Sige, let us have another solution at the right part. Kintahay lang, wala mo kabantay that these two factors can be applied with the special products, no? Hinihinay mo distribute. So, that's still okay. So, first natong distribution, we will multiply these two. Okay? So, 5x squared times 3x, that is 15x cubed. Then 5x squared times negative 4, that's negative 20x squared. Diba? So we are using the distributive property. Then, kung unsay product nilang duha, ato na po siyang i-multiply ni 3x plus 4. Okay? I'll just use kanang box method, no? Para mas makita ang answers. Ay, basta kaya na siya. Okay, let's now solve it. So 3x times 15x squared, that's 45x raised to 4. 3x times negative 20x squared is negative 60x cubed. Then 4 times 15x cubed, that's 60x cubed. And positive 4 times negative 20x squared, that's negative 80x squared. Now, looking at our results, we've got two like terms, si negative 60x cubed o si positive 60x cubed. So, unsa may result, if we add negative 60x cubed plus 60x cubed, diba, this is 0. So, meaning, we don't need to write these two terms anymore. Our final answer is now this 45x raised to 4 minus 80x squared. Same gihapon. So, kamo na'y bahala kung asa inyong ganahan nga solution. Next, number 8. So, balik-balik lang ang pattern, no? So, number 8 has the same pattern with number 5. Diba? We are squaring a binomial. So, to answer this, let's just use special product. So, you will get the square of this. So, that's 4x cubed y squared plus 2 times the product nilang duha. So, that's 4x cubed y squared times 9 plus the square of the last term. Simplifying further, 4 squared is 16, x cubed squared is x raised to 6, y squared squared is y raised to 4. Again, power of a power, you multiply the exponent. Then, 2 times 4, x cubed y squared times 9, that is positive 72, x cubed y squared, and square of 9 is 81. Dito na tanong, anyway, sa ito ang pagtanaw, wala naman po yung like terms na pwede na ito i-combine. So, that's our final answer already. The number 9, balik-balik po yung pattern. So, number 9 has the same pattern with number 6, no? So, you get the square. Same naman na sila. So, you get the square of 7xy squared minus the square of the second value, 4z cubed squared. So, simplifying, 7 squared is 49. Then, x squared. Then, y squared squared is y raised to 4 minus 4 squared is 16. And z cubed squared is z raised to 6. Again, where did we get 6? We multiply the exponents. Then, the last item. So, same yung po pattern ni number 8. So, balik-balik ang pattern aning numbers 1 to 10 na to. So, if ingani, we get the square of the first term, 3/5 x squared squared, plus, we get the product, 10 times 2. So, 2 times the first term, 3/5 x squared, times the second term, negative 10, plus, get the square of the last term, so negative 10 squared. So, simplify further. So, if fractions, do not worry, so just distribute the power gihapon. So, 3 squared is 9 over 5 squared is 25. Then x squared squared is x raised to 4. Now, let's have this one. No, fraction. So, if ever that mo, kaya mo cancel, so just multiply all the numerators over multiply all the denominators. So, that will become 2 times 3/5 times negative 10. So, remember, all whole numbers automatically have 1 as their denominator. So, multiply all the numerators. That's 2 times 3 times negative 10. That's negative 60 divided by 1 times 5 times 1. That's 5. So, fractions should be reduced to its simplest forms. But in this case, diba, we could divide this and we could get a whole number answer. Negative 60 divided by 5 is negative 12. And please do not forget the literal coefficient x squared. Then the square of negative 10 is positive 100. That's it.